Indemnity is a legal concept that crosses a number of areas of law. It allows parties to assign responsibility for liability through contract. It impacts patent assertions more often than patent owners typically consider, and can dramatically affect who is involved in defending against the patent assertion. Often, the first reaction of a patent owner is to assert against the largest entity selling a product that appears to contain a patented invention. The patent owner may judge their likelihood of success based on the ability of that seller to pay a royalty. The legal concept of indemnity may allow an accused infringer to rely on other companies, such as suppliers, to handle the assertion. This can then come as a surprise to the patent owner when they assert against one entity and find that another entity is handling that assertion. That other entity may not be as amenable to settlement as the original entity that was asserted against. It works like this. Let's start with a patent statute. The owner of a patent can assert a patent against any entity that makes, uses, offers to sell, or sells a patented invention. Some patent owners assert against the most apparent entity engaging in one of those activities. For example, there are numerous examples of patent owners asserting their patents against retailers, such as Walmart, for selling a product that might infringe. There are cases where coffee shops and hotels that have wireless hotspots have been sued for using patented technology to create those hotspots. Coffee shops, hotels, and retailers most likely have done little to investigate whether a patent infringement might be involved in their activities. Not surprisingly, those entities often rely on the concept of indemnity to protect themselves. Indemnity is an old concept and can be found codified in the Uniform Commercial Code, versions of which exist in all 50 United States. The UCC, as it is referred to, addresses the sales of goods, whether those sales are from retailers to consumers, sales from manufacturers to retailers, or sales from suppliers to the manufacturers. That provision in Washington State reads as follows. Let's focus on a few of the provisions. The provision starts with the term, unless otherwise agreed. That makes this what is called an implied warranty. In a sales contract, you have to specifically exclude it to get rid of it. The next provision states that a merchant who sells these goods normally warrants that the goods are free from infringement claims, which makes sense. Buyers are trying to purchase a product, not a lawsuit. The buyer assumes that the seller handles those issues. It is this language that creates the indemnity. In this case, it's a warranty protecting the purchaser from infringement assertions. Finally, the exception to the provision is that if the buyer furnishes the specifications, then the manufacturer and seller is off the hook. It's the buyer who should have known better than to have an infringing product manufactured for it. Let's look at a coffee shop that purchases a wireless hotspot device for its store and then gets sued for infringing a patent covering wireless hotspots. Under the patent statute, the coffee shop is liable for infringement. It is at least using the patented wireless hotspot device. However, under the state law, it can pass this liability onto the seller of the wireless hotspot device. The coffee shop is still liable, but if the supplier of the hotspot device is reputable, it will actually handle the infringement claim on behalf of the coffee shop, and in many cases vigorously. Patent owners are often not aware of this, or overestimate how much coffee shops really care about being sued for patent infringement, when the coffee shop knows that they have a solid indemnity provision. In practice, reputable sellers bend over backwards to defend their purchasers from infringement assertions. Those companies value their customers and want either return business or to develop a reputation in the marketplace for other possible purchasers. In such cases, the coffee shops really have no concern whatsoever. If a patent owner sues the coffee shop expecting it will just roll over and pay, it may not happen. Indeed, they'll just roll it over to their supplier, who may mount a vigorous defense. The patent owner will most likely never know what the actual purchase contract provides for in terms of indemnity. Those contracts are generally not publicly available, so it may come as a surprise to the patent owner as to who is actually responding to the patent assertion. In some awkward situations, manufacturing companies that assert patents may be in fact asserting against its own suppliers. Take, for example, an electronics company that asserts against another end product company. If the infringement is actually done within an integrated circuit, that integrated circuit company is on the hook for the costs of the assertion. If that same integrated circuit company supplies the patent owner with product, That can cause a real supply chain problem for the patent owner. Let's look at an actual case brought by a company conventionally thought of as a patent troll. Here's the claim that was asserted. It was asserted against satellite radio companies, automobile manufacturers, and the companies that make satellite-ready car audio systems. The owner took a shotgun approach and sued anyone involved in the satellite radio business, including the component manufacturers. The claim, which has any number of problems from a patent lawyer's perspective, requires at least the following elements, which we will focus on: a computer system that's capable of receiving a wireless signal in a mobile environment, and a persistent, unique hardware identification. This is the security or authorization code allowing the user access to the satellite data after the user has paid a subscription fee. Let's look at the commercial reality of a satellite radio system when it comes to this claim. Satellite radio systems are made up of a number of components. First is the satellite radio company itself. It puts up the satellite, manufactures or arranges for the security device so that access is allowed only to those who pay a subscription fee. Other companies make devices that can receive the signal and output the information that is available. In the case of audio, satellite radio system playback devices have to be able to show the station and the extra information that is provided about what is being played, such as the artist, that is generally not available on regular FM radio stations. Finally, those devices are purchased by a consumer. They may not enable the satellite radio system, and when they do so, it may be in a fixed place such as their home, or in a mobile location such as their car. Returning to the claim, let's look at the position on infringement of the claim for each of these entities. Let's start with the consumer. They are liable as they are the users of the system, but as a consumer, they will rely on their indemnity. They bought a satellite radio system, not a lawsuit. The satellite radio company may take the position that it has no idea how many of its units are used in fixed locations versus mobile locations. A car company will simply rely on its indemnity from the supplier of the audio device. It doesn't worry about how many patents that unit might infringe, as it will rely on its indemnity provisions. A car audio company may take the position that it does not know how many users activate the satellite system. It simply sells a device that is able to be used with a satellite radio system. It's up to the consumer to actually activate it. Further, the car audio company will look to the satellite radio company to address the issue of the persistent unique hardware identification. The car audio company has nothing to do with that device. In fact, it's probably kept secret for commercial reasons from the car audio company. All the car audio company needs to know is that it's receiving a signal and how to present the information found in that signal. In this particular case, there were robust indemnity agreements all around. In fact, the defense was led and paid for by the satellite radio company, with little effort or cost to any of the other defendants. No one rolled over, as the patent owner had hoped. A quick note on open source codes and platforms. Returning to the UCC provision, it's important to note that this is an implied warranty and can be dropped, using the terms unless otherwise agreed. A seller can specifically state that it is not liable for infringement, and in a number of notable cases, suppliers and sellers do exactly that. For example, open source code systems typically do this. While the product they sell, an open source code, is free of infringement from assertion by the seller, it is not free from assertion by others. This surprises some, but open source code companies are in no financial position to defend its users against infringement claims by others. Open source code providers are careful to make clear that they are not indemnifying against such assertions. Similarly with smartphones. Smartphone manufacturers routinely require those who provide applications for its phones to indemnify the smartphone manufacturer from patent assertions. If any particular application infringes, the smartphone manufacturer relies on its indemnity agreements and other laws to keep it clear from having to pay the patent owner. Here are the takeaway points about indemnity agreements. While a company may be liable for patent infringement, it may not care. An indemnity agreement may cover it. As such, the patent owner is really asserting against a completely different company. That company may not roll over. That company may be a supplier to the patent owner and may not appreciate the humor of being sued. a patent owner will most likely not know what the indemnity agreement covers or who is really going to handle the defense. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps.